Welcome back to Cheche, live on Citizen TV. The National Cohesion and Integration Commission recently reported on the state of ethnic diversity in the country's public universities. It's also been reporting on the state of counties. Well, the findings of the draft Ethnic and Diversity Audit of Public Universities were grim. Just 6 communities, the Kikuyu, Luo, Luya, Kalenjin, Kisii and Kamba, occupy more than 70% of the jobs available. And yet in Uasin Gishu County, politicians insist on the appointment of one of their own to lead the public universities located there. Within the last month, there have been riots against the appointment of an acting vice-chancellor, seen to be an outsider. So today's guests are the chairman of the NCIC, Francis Ole-Kaparo, and the Uasin Gishu Senator, Isaac Meli. And so, Mr. Kaparo, I come back to you because whether it's the universities, whether it's the administration of counties, your findings on ethnic diversity within national life in Kenya may be interesting, but they're not unusual.
Yeah, well, in Kenya they are unusual. Elsewhere in the world would be condemned. And I think that is what I'm pleading with the Kenyan people. Let's just get out of this psyche, this mentality of us against them. You know, when you look at, for example, the ethnic composition of employment in various universities across the country, public, wherever the university is sitting, the dominant ethnic community that heads the university, all the management senior positions are held by the same community. The bulk of the employees are from that community, and it's all across the board. The same thing happens also in counties, and you know, in public universities, they are funded by the Kenyan people. And the law requires that, yes, we recognize that this is a national institution, and therefore let's try as much as possible and give as many Kenyans an opportunity as possible.
But isn't the truth that some counties are homogeneous and that some are more cosmopolitan than others?
Well,
and so therefore you have in some areas a diversity reflected, and in others you will see the homogeneity reflected.
It is true there are some counties that are mixed. A lot of different ethnic communities are there. But it is also true that there is no county in Kenya today. There is no county in Kenya that has only a singular ethnic group resident in that county. There is no such county in Kenya. But even if there were, the spirit of the law, deriving its authority from the Constitution, is a deliberate attempt under the Constitution to bring Kenyans together, give Kenyans an opportunity to mix. That's a constitutional requirement. It is also a statutory requirement, and people must go out of their way to mix the Kenyan people. I know of one county, for example, that did the unthinkable. Advertised in the press, and that is Kiambu. They advertised in the press at a particular position. And in that advertisement, they said, if you are a Kikuyu, you need not apply. Because the government of Kiambu then was going out of its way to comply with the law and to bring other Kenyans from outside Kiambu to serve the people of Kiambu. There is merit in getting different people to give a service to the Kenyan people. So it is, yes, it is true that at the lower echelons you could justifiably claim that the local population could be dominant there. That is possible, but no, it is not right that even at the higher echelons you can, at this time and age, tell me that only one ethnic group where the university is situated can possibly acquire the qualifications for that job. It cannot be. There are very few Kenyan communities that don't have a degree. And even if they don't, the law requires us, and the Constitution requires that we do affirmative action on them.
Chairman, I'm sorry, you have done audit. You have done the audit of counties, of national government, and universities. You have found whatever you found. So, next step?
The story is the same, you know.
So, what's the step? What's going to happen?
Now, first of all, the first step was to do what we do.
Yes.
What we have done. Now, every Kenyan is in possession of facts, because what we have done is factual, is scientific. So at least, if nothing else, we have brought facts to the attention of the Kenyan people. You have facts. So that's a step by itself. Number two, we have also named and shamed. So everybody who falls within the categories that have fallen short of what the law requires, they know that they have broken the law. Kenyans know that they have broken the law. And if there are people of integrity, they should be ashamed of it. Number three.
Beyond the shame?
Yeah?
People who are never ashamed.
You yourself said we are an obnoxious society. We have no shame.
But I'm trying to create the opportunity of people to be ashamed. And you know, you must bring this to the fore. Number three, as I said, tomorrow we are making this representation. All these findings, we are taking it to the Committee on Cohesion and Equal Opportunity of Parliament, so that they can also table in the National Assembly and discuss. Number four, we are also making certain recommendations to Parliament to change the law, so that there can be penalties attached to non-compliance, so that you can hold people personally responsible for flouting the law. As I said, this act was an imposition. So they gave the NCIC a mandate, and they refused to give power. So we are going to seek of it. The fifth one we are going to do, because I really want, I am passionate about some of these things. The fifth one we are recommending is that if public entities continue to defy the law and continue to be tribalistic in their employment and actions, then the Kenyan people should deny them the funds to perpetuate their tribalism. So you look for your own money to pay for your staff. If you are county government and you are very ethnic, you cannot comply with the law, then the government, the central government should give you the money for development, but you look for your own money to pay your ethnic workers.
So what's new there is that you're asking for penalties for offending institutions, and that people should be not denied money. Exactly. And so you've audited universities, counties, commissions.
Yes.
And what do you make of the criticism from the opposition leader, Moses Wetangula, saying that you should also be looking at cabinet appointments?
Well, he has written to me, and we've talked. It is his pet subject. Right. And I think you should have seen my response to him. He sent me an SMS that I reminded him, if he has forgotten, that indeed the first organ of state to be audited was the central government when he was still minister in the last government.
2012. In
2012. He was minister, and he was in that government, and we did an audit. There is no difference between the counties and the central government then. What we found then is that in State House the majority were from the tribe of the president, and the majority in the Prime Minister's office were the Fene community from which the Prime Minister came. And I know the Honorable Wetangula was minister, and if you look, and for foreign affairs, among the things that he has been complaining. So yesterday I told him, we have that audit as well. You may wish to peruse, and every other Kenyan may wish to peruse. And I made this statement, which I will continue to do, and I want to repeat.
But sir,
the story is the same, the players are different.
But sir, the last audit of universities was also in 2012, and you've done one this year. So why not audit the cabinet again this year, given that we also know that civil society is taking action against the cabinet?
When I made my presentation day before yesterday when I was launching this audit, I clearly stated, and I think your media house was present, I clearly stated that the next port of call is the central government, so that we compare what was in 2012 and what is today. Indeed, in public universities we did an earlier audit, and when we compared this time round, some universities actually improved, some.
And some had slipped.
And some slipped. So we now go into the central government and again check whether what was then and what is now, whether it is different or it isn't.
Chairman Olekaparo, bearing in mind what led to the constitution of your commission and bearing in mind what has happened this far, would you say you have succeeded? How would you rate your commission?
It depends on what you're asking.
And what would you tell critics who say that you're gobbling public funds? They should just be disbanded because you're not adding any value.
Well, first of all, if Kenya, the last 1 year or so, or this particular year, I think Kenyans were on a disbandment mode, beginning with IEBC. But if they still wanted to disband NCIC, I have really no problem with that. But let's just get this right. Let's just get this right. Sometimes we close our eyes and ears to a lot of things except probably what affects you directly. Now, if you follow what NCIC has been doing, there are many. First of all, the whole of northern Kenya was embroiled and has been embroiled in ethnic warfare for a long time. NCIC, together even with the committee, and that's what the senator, a member of the Committee of Parliament for Cohesion and Equal Opportunity, NCIC has spearheaded a serious reconciliation program throughout the whole of northern Kenya. And communities that have been killing each other for many years today are living in peace with one another. Northern Kenya has never been this peaceful since independence. And we have put a lot of energy, a lot of work to do this. We need to go back because I can now see, as I sit here, I even receive messages that there are recurrence, for example, in Elgeyo Marakwet and their neighbors in the Pokot and other places. But believe you me, when we went, for example, to Mandera as NCIC, there was a huge ethnic war. You don't hear that now. What is in Mandera right now is Al-Shabaab, which is outside our mandate. Isiolo, just up to November last year, in Isiolo, there was major conflict between the Turkana and the Samburu, between the Samburu and the Maasais themselves, between the Borana and the Meru, and the Meru and the Borana and the Turkana, and today we went there, and today you don't hear that. We went to the conflict between the Nandi and the Kabras in Kibigori. I think it's someplace there, and it's sorted out. You don't hear it. Even between the Nandi and the Luo in Mohoroni, we sorted that as well.
You had that 1 week ago.
No.
Yeah. At Cheche.
Cheche?
Yeah, the place you went to and convened a meeting between the Nandis and the Luos.
Yeah.
1 week ago, there was skirmishes again. There was cattle rustling.
Well, we anyway, for about 6 months it was okay. And by the way, can I ask the Kenyan people, please don't repeat. I have already said there can always be a recurrence. And many factors lead to a recurrence, including political activity and misguided political activity. And also, and a major contributor too, is the inactivity of law enforcement agencies. If they don't apprehend quickly the facts, then of course they do this. But we have done a lot in that score. We have of course been doing this auditing, and it's a major thing. We force people to comply in many aspects.
Okay.
And we have also done quite a bit on hate speech. You know, we can never finish hate speech because of that is our upbringing. We bring our children very badly from the very beginning. When our children watch what was happening yesterday at the County Assembly of Nairobi and what happened in the National Assembly of Kenya a few months ago, including pouring water on the head of the speaker, then our children learn to believe that violence and disorder
is the order of the day,
is the best thing that you can do.
Okay, here's what our viewers are saying. Tell these politicians that higher education is not devolved. That came from Ezra. A Euro is afraid of being branded a mole, and that's why he's taking this position. But then there's several viewers, Senator, Melly rather is afraid of being branded a mole. But there's several viewers, Senator Melly, who are asking about a fund you created, UDOF, a 9 million shilling fund for orphans, and what it's achieved.
Yeah.
And they seem to be suggesting that it hasn't achieved much. Could you respond to them?
Okay, thank you. I thank the viewers and those who are asking questions in terms of what I've done personally. And this is a fund that I created personally immediately after election to try to bring up the students who are orphans and those who didn't have money to go to school, bring them together, asking friends to come together and ensure that they have good education. We have done that, and as I know, being the founder, we have now over 100 students under our program. The issue is coming in because of when we ask governors to account. Governor would say even the senator should account for that small fund yet, and I think we are missing the point. I think here, when we are, all this issue came into being, the issue of university, the governor should not try to hide in his tribe.
Okay, so the governor's not here,
yes.
And viewers are asking you to account for the fund that you created.
Yes.
And so how are you accounting for that?
Yeah.
Are there documents that they can see? Is there a website you can direct them to? How do you account for this?
Thank you. We have the documents. The reason why I'm bringing this issue of county government is because yesterday there was a press conference by the people from the office of the governor demanding that the senator should account for this money. That's why this issue is coming into being. But
are they residents of Uasin Gishu?
Basically they are.
Do they have a mandate? Do they have a right to question for an audit?
They have.
So regardless of whether they are from the governor's office or not?
No problem, they have. And we have provided information in our office to ensure that anybody who wants information can access information. And the number of students, the schools they go, how much has been paid. It is in our office, and every person in the county, though it is not a public fund, they are also free to go and see the progress that we've made so far in terms of trying to bring our young people who have no access to education to have at least education and be better people in future.
So it would, go ahead.
I want to go back to Chairman Ole Kaparo and ask him, he has mentioned timelessly that he has alluded to the fact that the whole problem seems to be emanating from the leadership, the political leadership. And I'm wondering, where would you place the ball now as we head towards next year's election? Is it the general public or is it politicians? Bearing in mind the fact that politicians don't come from utopia, they come from among us.
Well, I'm very discouraged by the Kenyan people. Very, very discouraged. Because I think they fund it. I think they are the fodder upon which this negativity, this bad manners emanates from. When you hear a politician speaking outrageously and using a language that leaders should not be associated with, you get Kenyan people giving the greatest applaud to warmongering. So they are the authors of this. They are also the people who elect. People don't elect themselves. Kenyans do. And I think we ceased a long time ago, unfortunately, to look at the credentials of the individual before casting our vote. Indeed, today, the basic qualification for leadership is an endorsement from an ethnic kingpin. Once you are approved by a certain kingpin, you are just as good as selected. And therefore, for people to be recognized by the ethnic kingpin, those aspire to leadership do outrageous things to be able to be heard and to be recognized. And among them is to be the greatest sycophants. Sycophancy then has taken center stage and replaced everything else in leadership. And it is a very worrying state of affairs. And I think Kenyans must think long and deep about how to reverse it.
We asked a question about your performance and your rating. How do you account for the fact that no big fish has ever been prosecuted and convicted?
Not serving.
No, I think that one you should ask the Chief Justice. You know, you should ask the Chief Justice. We charge people, or rather we investigate and then send our findings to the Director of Public Prosecution, because that is what the law is all about. And it is the Director of Public Prosecution who has sole power to charge. I don't have power to charge. But we do send our evidence to him. And by and large, whatever evidence, in most cases, whatever evidence we have sent to the Director of Public Prosecution has ended up in court. Now, once a matter ends up in court, NCIC has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Does NCIC have the capacity for investigation?
We do have police attached to us, and therefore we investigate, and that is not the problem. We have actually charged politicians, as you know, even as recently as what you commonly refers to as the Pangani 6. But we take the matters to court. Once it gets to court, we cannot then replace the judges and become judges ourselves. It is up to them to decide what date they will hear this case, what date they will make a final decision. And the least I can do, which I have done, is to write to the Chief Justice and point out the fact that some of these cases are taking forever. There are some cases, for example, which were taken to court before the 2013 election, and they have not been decided. And the least we can do is to point that out, which we have. And we must also appreciate the fact that courts are independent from every other organ, including my own organization, and I therefore cannot interfere, and neither can the prosecutor. We can only plead.
Chairman, from records, your commission has investigated slightly over 800 cases. Just about 156 have been prosecuted. Are you feeling frustrated by the law, the judiciary?
It's not just the law. It's a process of getting the evidence. You know, you just don't take people to court for the heck of it. And if you do that, then you are wasting public funds. You must take people to court because there is evidence to support it. If you don't have evidence to support it, please don't, because it's a harassment. It's abuse of power. And I shouldn't be accused of abuse of power. And a lot of the evidence we get, a lot of the complaints we get emanate from the press. If you who are everywhere in these public rallies, statements are made there, you get it on your video, on your tape, and because of that, finally some of it gets to us either through the press or through concerned citizens. And when we finally come, for example, to the press and say, this is the clip you give us, can you please avail the person who took this clip, who took this to go and testify, and say, no, I can't do this. This is against our professional ethos. And you know, once you get the chief witness refusing, pulling out, then of course you are left with nothing. So anyway, I can't condemn you because of course those are your standards and the principles. And I'm going to go. We're going to change this. We're going to change this by December this year. I hope we'll have acquired some video recorders. Video. I repeat, video, not voice recorders. Video recorders, and we'll give each to every county in Kenya. And we will have at the headquarters. So when that video is operational, I say, for example, in Mandera, we receive that information instantly in Nairobi. And the person who has that gadget in Mandera cannot edit, neither can that person alter. So it comes raw to headquarters. And
one video for how many millions of people?
Yeah?
One video recorder for
no,
how many?
I said one for per county.
But that still hardly does anything.
Video recorders.
Yes, well,
okay. But it's a start.
It is a start.
It's a start.
It's a start.
Okay, so now we'll take a break. This is Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV, and we'd like to hear from you, particularly if you're from Uasin Gishu County or within the public university system or county system. Are there local politicians right or wrong to demand that top jobs go to their communities? How has the politics of appointments affected you, if at all? Talk to us on Twitter. Our hashtag is Cheche.